Hi friends, welcome back to my channel. My name is Almie and today's workshop is called the Yin Warrior, Standing Postures for Emotional Strength. This is a little different from your traditional Yin class. We're going to be holding our standing postures for longer periods of time, but in a very Yin way. Slow, a lot of introspective and grounded. It's not about pushing or perfecting. It is about stillness, our breath, and emotional resilience. I designed this workshop for those moments of life when life feels chaotic, when you're craving stability or clarity, or even just a pause. This is where you're able to learn that strength doesn't have to look like action. Sometimes strength is just choosing to just stay and be, to feel, to breathe. Now, the workshop overview today, we're going to focus on 4 postures. One would be Virabhadrasana II, or Warrior II, Trikonasana, which is triangle pose, tree pose, which is Vrikshasana, and wide-legged forward fold, my favorite, Prasarita Padottanasana. Each pose will be broken down slowly. We'll walk through it, and we'll just really take our time in holding them while focusing on our breath, subtle alignment, and what it feels like to be on fire. The practice also includes different hands-on adjustments, teaching tips for those that are in training or wanting to deepen their practice. Feel free to use any and all or part of this as a structure and inspiration for your own workshop. I'll be offering Sanskrit names as we're going through our sequences, meanings, and cues, and so that way you can deepen your practice and understanding and teaching language too. So this workshop is an invitation to come back to your center, to ground down, to breathe deeper, and honor the quietness, the quiet strength that lives within you. So roll out your mat, take a breath, and let's begin. I'll meet you at Tadasana. Well, welcome back. We're going to start off with just a warm-up at this time. We're going to be going through Surya Namaskar A, or our sun salutation A. And I do have my lovely students here to help out with our practice. So let's go ahead and begin at the tops of our mats in Tadasana, mountain pose. So as we're here, we want to make sure our feet are hip-width distance apart. Start to feel that grounding. Hands, palms facing out, feeling strong, feeling tall, feeling grounded. Again, here, let's at Tadasana. Take a deep breath. Inhale through your nose. And then open mouth, exhale. Take another breath here, in through your nose. Open mouth, exhale. And then for the remainder of class, in our warm-ups and as we go into our postures, we're going to use our Ujjayi breath. We're going to seal our lips, and it's that oceanic sound, right? So it's long, kind of you're constricting your throat, and all the breath comes through your nose. So we'll begin with our sun salutation. So we're sit at Tadasana. Here we're going to move into Urdhva Hastasana, hands up overhead. Inhale, hands up, reach up for the ceiling. Feel your spine lengthen. Exhale, forward fold into our Uttanasana. And just let your head grow heavy here. Let your arms dangle wherever it is. Exhale, bring your hands down to the mat. Bring your legs back into Chaturanga Dandasana. So 4-legged limb, feet extended out, coming down halfway into that half push-up. And then we're going to inhale, upward facing dog. Urdhva Mukha Savasana. Feel the stretch in your body. Here, let's inhale. And then Adho Mukha Savasana, downward facing dog. Push your hips up and back, pedaling out your feet. First down dog of the day. And then coming back, let's inhale here, looking forward, bringing your feet back to the front of your mat into a halfway lift, our Urdhva, or our Uttanasana. Actually, that's Ardha Uttanasana. Sorry, guys. Inhale, let's go ahead and lift all the way up. Hands up overhead, Urdhva Hastasana. And then exhale, Tadasana. That is our Sun Sal A. We're going to go through this a couple more times. So now that you guys have the, just the basics of the Sun Sal, we'll just run through it as I cue you in. So sitting at Tadasana. Again, let's take a cleansing breath here in through our nose and then out through our mouth. Yes. Inhale, Urdhva Hastasana. Hands up overhead. Inhale here, let's reach. And then exhale, forward fold, Uttanasana. Feel your back. Feel it stretch out as you let your head grow heavy. Inhale, halfway lift. Urdhva Uttanasana. Exhale. Bring your hands down to the mat. And then kick back into Chaturanga Dandasana. Inhale, Urdhva Mukha Savasana, upward facing dog. And then exhale, we push our hips up and back, Adho Mukha Savasana, downward facing dog. Let's inhale here, look forward, walk or jump your way to the front of the mat as we meet in Ardhva Uttanasana, our halfway lift. And then exhale, forward fold, Uttanasana. And then inhale, hands all the way up, Urdhva Hastasana. And then let it go as we fall into Tadasana, hands down to our sides. One last time, let's move Tadasana, hands down by our side, palms facing forward. Inhale, arms up overhead, Urdhva Hastasana. Exhale, forward fold, Uttanasana. Inhale, halfway lift, Ardhva Uttanasana. Exhale, Chaturanga Dandasana, step back into that halfway down. And then inhale, upward facing dog, Urdhva Mukha Svanasana. Exhale, lift our hips up and back, downward facing dog, Adho Mukha Svanasana. Yeah, if you need to pedal out your knees, go ahead and do so. Let's inhale here, look forward and walk your way up to the front of the mat in that forward fold, Uttanasana. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold, Uttanasana. And then on this one, let's inhale all the way back up into our Tadasana. Thank you. So that should have warmed up your bodies just a little bit as we move into our workshop. So take a seat and we'll begin. So the first posture we're going to work on is our Virabhadrasana II, which is our warrior posture. And the focus around Virabhadrasana, when we look at it from a yin perspective, it is about grounding, and it's about, steadying ourselves in emotional, the steadiness of our emotional being, our emotional energies, strengthen our legs, and, again, softening our gaze. All right, we're gonna begin and we're gonna start off with Warrior II, Virabhadrasana II. And just a little bit of story on the background of Virabhadrasana. It actually was it's in Hindu mythology. Virabhadra is a fierce warrior created by Lord Shiva. The love of his life actually dies. Her name is Sati. She dies in a fire, and he's super heartbroken. He takes a lock of his hair, throws it on the ground, and then is born Virabhadrasana. That's not really a fighter. He is a protector born from his grief and loyalty and heartbreak. So, when we look at Warrior II or Virabhadrasana II, it isn't a posture about aggression. It is a posture that helps us build that strength, and it is learning to stand in our own grief, growing from that, having the journey of living through that grief, even sometimes when we feel the world is broken, the things around us aren't going the right way. Warrior II really reminds us that the strength comes from the most vulnerable places. So as we go into Warrior II, what I'd like you to do is start to think about, holding your ground and, seeing how that feels. All right, so let's get into the posture. So let's get to the tops of our mats, and we're just going to run through a quick just to get you guys into that, into the posture. So as you're here, stand in Tadasana. Inhale, up, hands up overhead. Exhale, Uttanasana, forward fold. Forward fold. And on this next inhale, let's bring and step our foot back, our right foot back, into our, again, this is the Anjaneyasana, low lunge. And then let's lift up, hands up overhead. Then let's pivot towards, and then moving into Virabhadrasana II. And so as we're here, like Yin, we hold the postures longer, right? And so as you're here, I want you to, make sure your front heel lines up with your back arch. Your front knee is stacked above the ankle, tracking towards your second toe. And then as I'm walking you through the different alignment, just kind of see how that makes your body feels, right? Try to remember how that makes your body feels. And your hips stay open towards the long edge of your mat, arm reaching wide, parallel to the ground. Soften your shoulders, palms down, gazing over your front hand, softening your eyes and your jaw. And we're here. And so unlike in a regular vinyasa practice, we're in the posture, right? We're in Warrior II, and we are here just for a second, and then we're moving into another posture. What's great about being, using the Yin structure is that you really get to feel and get to really be in the pose, right? Soften your shoulders, gazing over your fingers, and then just feeling that strength, right? As we practice Yin, Yin is about discomfort, right? And in that discomfort is where we begin to grow, begin to feel. And it's okay to have the micro movements. How's that feel, guys? Good. It's different when we're having to hold it, right? And then another variation here, as we're, again, the theme of it is cultivating that strength, right? So another option here is perhaps we just bring down our right arm and we bind it behind us. So here we still have, our knee just tracking towards that second toe. Still feeling strong, still gazing, right? Using our breath to guide us, using our breath to stay into this posture. And then play with it a little. Maybe we put our arms back out as we do in Yin. We have these micro movements, right? It's what can we sustain? Where can we go? Where is our edge? And again, when you start to feel a little bit more of the, oh gosh, I can't take anymore, maybe power through that. Oftentimes our minds can impact our own capabilities. Right? Your body is much stronger than you think. It is your mind that sometimes get in the way. So as we're here in the final few moments, kind of just root down through your legs, kind of rise through your spine. Start to feel that warrior energy coming up from the ground. And when we're ready, let's go ahead and we're gonna just swing our way back up to the front of our mats. And then Tadasana, a little rest. Shake it off. I know standing in Warrior II isn't a, normal thing we do, especially in Yin, as you both have been in my Yin classes. So this is really about, is Yin just sitting postures? Is it just mat postures where we're on what you just experienced is, out of the ordinary, right? We hardly sit in warrior postures for more than just a few breaths. We were there for a couple minutes. So as usual, we need to make sure we're evening out the energies. So here, let's go ahead, Tadasana again. Take a cleansing breath here. Yeah. And then inhale, hands up overhead. Ardha Hastasana. And then exhale, forward fold, Uttanasana. Bring your hands down to the mat and we're going to bring our left foot back now to the back of the mat. And we move into Anjaneyasana, which is our low lunge. Hands up overhead. And then let's pivot into our Warrior II. And same thing here, just making sure your knee is tracking over your second, kind of like your second toe. How does that feel? Feel good? Yep. And then softening your shoulders. And again, as you're here, it is about, again, it's sitting in the discomfort, growing from that discomfort. And again, there's that variation. If you need to, you bind your left arm behind you. Keeping one of your hands forward, softening your gaze. And then allowing your breath to guide you and to keep you. Using your breath to cultivate that power, that strength. And again, to go back to when you think you can't go anymore, know that you can. Take another breath. And on this final one, let's inhale, step forward, and just let it go. Go ahead and take a seat. If you need to take a little sip of water. Now, as you go into the practice and you go into, as I walk you guys through the posture, some things to think about is as you breathe, reflect on a time where you stood your own ground for yourself or for someone else. Where did that strength come from? How did you cultivate that strength? And can you channel that same steady presence now as we move in and out of these postures without force, without fear, and just knowing that you can. So our next posture is going to be Trikonasana, which is triangle pose. And a little bit of a story, philosophy around the wisdom of Satya, creating space for truth. In yoga, one of the principles, ethical principles we practice is Satya, which is truthfulness. But truth isn't always loud, it's not always obvious. And in Trikonasana, the body creates wide, clear angles. And this encourages spaciousness, clarity, and balance, not just in the body, but in the mind. So as we try to incorporate Trikonasana in real life, how can we make it relevant? What's the relevance of it? And it's really when we create our own space in our bodies and in our life, we really allow the truth to surface. Triangle or Trikonasana, asks us to open up, even when it feels vulnerable. It teaches emotional boundaries, and as you expand, but you stay rooted, right? You reach, but not the expense of your energy centers. So this posture really holds the energy of calm, awareness, and seeing things clearly without rushing to react, as we do in the practice of Yin, right? We start to feel discomfort, and it's always, there's no need to react. We recognize and we acknowledge that discomfort, and we breathe through it, and we move on. So as we go through Trikonasana, I want you guys to, breathe into your side bodies, your ribs, your heart, and what truths you've been avoiding because, maybe life's too noisy, or, the space that you've created have invited here is where's that honesty, right? Whether it's with yourself, your breath, and your energy. So let's get ready and let's meet at the top of our mats. All right, from here, and I will practice with you guys just to help out here. Let's start off in Tadasana. Urdhva Hastasana, inhale, arms up overhead. Exhale, let's forward fold, Uttanasana. Inhale, Ardha Uttanasana, halfway lift. Exhale, come all the way down, Uttanasana, hands on the mat. And let's bring our right foot back behind us. We're in Anjaneyasana here. When you feel steady, let's rise up, hands on our hips. Just kind of feel where we're at here. And we're going to set up here into Trikonasana. So feeling steady and feeling the grounding. And sometimes you know, we may feel wobbly, right? So because we're gonna be holding this posture a little bit longer, you know, set yourself up into railroad tracks, right? Giving you a little bit more space, and then keeping your hips forward, right? And then as you're here, we're gonna straighten out our front knee. And then you can keep, and depending on where your body is at today, where your hips are at, how you're feeling, you may want to maybe bring your back foot pointed out a little bit and just kind of experiment on what feels good for you, what feels good for your body. If you need to have a little bend in your front knee, take a little bend in your front knee. Let's inhale, Urdhva Hastasana, hands up overhead. Exhale, forward fold, Uttanasana. Inhale, halfway lift, Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, Uttanasana, hands on the mat. And then let's kick our way back, right foot into our Anjaneyasana, low lunge. And again here, go ahead and feel free to put out your railroad tracks, right? You may want to have a little angling in your back foot, but do what's going to feel good for you. Let's inhale, Urdhva Hastasana, hands up overhead. Exhale, forward fold, Uttanasana. Halfway lift, inhale, Ardha Uttanasana, keeping a flat back. Exhale, Uttanasana, forward fold. Let's kick our foot back, right foot back. And then we rise up, Ardha Hastasana, hands up overhead. Let's pivot into our Virabhadrasana II, Warrior II. And then keeping that front leg, it's still at a bend. And then feeling strong here, let's inhale, let's straighten out that front leg. And then here you can, depending on how your hips are feeling, how your body is feeling, feel free to widen out your stance more, bringing it in together. But here we're gonna move into our Trikonasana. So we're gonna just bring our torso forward just a little bit, right? So yeah, so we're just gonna we're just gonna pivot at our hips. You're actually reaching forward, feeling your body elongate so that you can still feel the, in your spine. And as you're here, you're gonna inhale, pivot down. Yep. And then you can use your block for support, right? It's all about, if you can touch the ground, the blocks are here to bring the mat closer to you. So as you're here, I'm just gonna come up right behind you. And then sometimes, your body doesn't want to, may not have the mobility to come up. So I'll be here just to help, opening up your chest and knowing you have the support here so that you can have a slight bend in your knee. And then let's come back up slowly. And then let's maybe try to if you did widen out your stance, bring your feet in a little bit closer where your heels are matching. So come back to where my foot is, perfect. And then we'll do the same thing. We reach forward, right? Reaching forward, kind of like you're pivoting, straightening out your leg, pivoting at your hips, reaching forward, and then we hinge, and then we open up. How does that feel? Good. And then maybe we inch our way a little bit closer towards our foot, right? So coming in just a little, put your hand here. And then opening up. Then opening up your chest, hands up as far as you're able to go and what you're able to sustain and hold. And then another thing you can do is maybe you're not having to come down all the way, but you lift up, kind of, yes. And then your hands, fingertips maybe just slightly grazing the block, and then you're still, yes. So feeling that may have a different feel in your body. And again, it's not your traditional way of being in this posture as we are holding it longer. And then here, just for a couple final breaths. Let's inhale, come up. And then let's just simply walk our way to the front of the mat. Ardha Hastasana, hands up overhead. And then exhale into our Tadasana. So our next posture, so we've been kind of going through some of the standing postures, which is a little bit new from a yin perspective, holding it a lot longer than the 5 breaths that we're used to. And so for this next one, we are going to go into tree. All right, so next we're going to go into tree pose, which is Virabhadrasana. And a little bit about tree. It is about balance, self-trust, stability. And as we look at a tree, or a tree in itself, it grows by staying still. It bends, it breaks, and Virabhadrasana invites you to embrace that, right? It wants you to embrace being rooted, being upright, being resilient, and quietly strong. You don't have to force the growth, you just kind of allow it, just like the trees. We must kind of look at it from rooting deeply, right? And if we look at it as our practice on the mat is like, are we grounded? Do we feel safe on our mat? Are we where we need to be? So as you're in the posture, some things to look at or think about is, as you inhale, it's about balance, right? So as you're inhaling, it is imagining you're growing taller through your crown. And as you exhale, think about that grounding leg, your standing leg, of helping you with that stability and just feeling it being rooted into your mat. So let's get started. All right, so we're gonna get started. Let's stand in Tadasana and just feel our grounding, feel our mat. Just feel the mat beneath our feet, feeling strong, feeling grounded. Let's start to shift our weight to our right leg. And just to, feel what that's like. Getting your toes, feeling the mat, your heel. And then we're gonna bend at our left. We're gonna bring our left leg up. Foot inside our thigh. You have the other option of bringing your foot in front of your thigh like so. Whatever is gonna be the most comfortable and most where you're able to sustain it. So for you, right, today it could be here. It could be here on your shin, or you know what, today I don't really have the balance, so I'm down here at my ankle. Either way, these are all right. I want you to feel what's good for you today. You have your block as well, so you can place your foot on your block, hands at heart center, or just simply out. And I encourage you to feel what's good in your body. right? And as you're here, even I fall out of it. And as you're here, sometimes for me, this feels good, and I'm able to hold it a little bit longer. As you inhale, feeling the spine, feeling your crown lengthen up. As you exhale, feeling your standing leg grow roots, right? It's giving you that strength, giving you that stability that you need to stay in this posture. And then we'll be here just for a few more breaths. And if it's helpful for balance, maybe it is holding onto your foot. And then simply let's go ahead and exhale and lower down slowly. Shake out that standing leg. And then we're going to move on to the other side. So grounding into your left leg, feeling that stability, feeling that strength. And then when you're ready, let's lift our right leg up. And then whether it's in your knee or in your inner thigh, or if you want to have additional support, maybe you're simply holding your leg, holding the top of your foot, hands out, hands at heart center. And then once you're there, once you feel solid, once you have your space, continue to use your breath to keep you upright. Use your breath to feel the support. And again, yin is really about the journey, right, of cultivating your strength. It's in the discomfort that we start to build that strength. And it is in the discomfort where we begin to feel our power coming about. And then sometimes this is where I'm at today, right? Explore the different parts of tree. Some days you may have your balance for 10 minutes. Some days it may only be for 30 seconds, and that's okay. We'll take a few more breaths here. And then we'll simply release. Let it go. All right, let's go ahead and take a seat, and we'll talk about the last posture. Now we're going to go through our last posture, which is Virabhadrasana Padottanasana, wide-legged fold. And with the if we look at the Yin Warrior flow, when it's the standing postures, it's really not about the sitting in and wallowing in like defeat, right? When we look at yin from a standing posture series, it's about reverence. It's the act of humility, letting go with grace, and really folding inward while we're grounding. And that should teach us that releasing can be powerful, and we are safe to rest. We're safe in that posture. And so the pose itself, Virabhadrasana Padottanasana, it symbolizes spaciousness and surrender, making it a powerful counterpart to the postures that we just did, and the standing postures. And as we're going into the posture itself, just think about, as you inhale, you're creating space, right? You're creating space within your abdomen, your heart center, your hips, your legs. Like, feel that inhale coursing through your entire body. and creating space within your spine, right? And then as you exhale, letting everything go and letting gravity just pull you closer to the mat. So let's get started. So let's stand at the in the middle of your mat, or at the top of your mat, facing towards the basketball court. Let's inhale here. Ardha Hastasana, Urdhva Hastasana, hands up overhead. And as you exhale, step your left foot out wide. Toes pointed kind of towards the corners of your mat. And then feel your spine lengthen. We're standing up straight, hands down. Straightening out your legs. Yes. And then feeling good here. Let's lengthen the spine. And then you're just going to simply hinge at your hips. You're not rounding out your back. You're kind of almost just moving forward, hinging at your hips as you fall down. Taking your time, yes. And then coming all the way down to the mat, letting your head grow heavy. Using your blocks to bring the mat closer to you. You can bring your hands all the way to the floor. You can grab at your ankles, depending on your flexibility. Soften your knees if your hamstrings feel a little bit tight. And let the crown of your head just simply release and fall through to the floor. Letting, like I said, let gravity do its thing. As you inhale, you're just creating space in your spine. And imagine with every exhale, your head, your spine is just slowly coming down a little bit more. To give you a little bit more support, if your head is already down, you may take a block and use the block to rest your head on. Whether it's, or you can turn it around, different lengths. Blocks are here for support, and it brings the mat and the ground closer to you. And then as we're here, it really isn't about the depth or the flexibility. It's really the emphasis on your breath and stillness. So it's, going to the edge, going to that discomfort, but not pain, and to where you're able to sustain. Don't forget to breathe. All right, so wherever you're at, let's inhale here. Slowly come up, rise up, taking your time. Yes. Ardha, let's do a quick hands up overhead, Ardha Hastasana. And then exhale, let's bring our feet back together. And then let's take our rest here. So we're going to close out our practice. We went through not your traditional yin class. We did yin in the form of standing postures of warrior. Now we get to rest in our favorite savasana. So take a moment here to get positioned and lay flat on your backs, feet wide apart. And letting your hands down to your side. And as you're here, think of the affirmation of, I am strong in my stillness, I am grounded in my breath, and I am enough. I thank you both for joining me today in this deep dive into the Yin Warrior. Remember, the strength that we cultivate in stillness is just as powerful as movement. It teaches us how to breathe through discomfort, stay present with ourselves, and honor the emotional work that happens beneath the surface. If this workshop resonated with you, I'd love to hear more about it, chat about it. Take a cleansing breath here in through your nose. Open mouth, exhale, just letting it all go. And when you're ready, let's come back up into a seated position. We'll take a few cleansing breaths to close out our practice together. We'll inhale here through our nose. And then open mouth, exhale. Inhale again through our nose. Open mouth, exhale. And one last. Inhale through our nose. And then open mouth, exhale. So until we meet again, keep breathing, keep softening, and keep showing up as the calm warrior you already are. See you next time.